Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you for joining. Thank you for hearing my journey. I thank you for watching my channel. So much is going on today. Today is the anniversary of when my husband transitioned. So he's 1 year. This is the first year. And I've had so many emotions. I have had emotions of, I can't say last year me and my husband did this anymore. That was one of my emotions. It's tough. It's a tough time. I I visited his memorial. I'll give you an order of things that I did today. The first thing I did is I opened up one of the bins with his clothes on them, so I couldn't smell him. And then I called one of our longtime friends because she lost her husband like 2 months ago. And it's been very hard for her. She's been with her husband longer than, I mean, I want to say like 40 something years. They've been together a long time. It's been very hard for her. So I just called and I talked to her some, kind of letting her lean on me a little bit, even though I also leaned on her. Because we're both part of something that we didn't ask to be part of. She's a very close friend to our family. Her daughter and my daughter have been best friends since, I want to say, elementary school. And we became good friends as well. So we're very close friends. So I talked with her for a little bit. And then I went to the DMV to try to get my license. I have to renew my license later this month. So I just went today to see what I can do. And the line was very long. So I left. After that, I went to the market to get some flowers for my husband, and then I used the rest of the flowers, rest of the plants out of my from, as you can see, I used the greenery from in my house, in my sunroom. So I went down to his memorial to put some fresh flowers on his memorial and also put some on my son's memorial at the same time. After that, my mom's house is right across the street from where my husband and my son's memorial is. So I passed by my mother's for a short, for about maybe 15 minutes, drank some coffee. And the whole time I was in my husband's car, in which I don't drive very often. I think in this past year I may have put about 500 miles on it. It stays in the garage. So I drove his car. I played love songs while driving. I played Luther Vandross, Barry White, Fantasia, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. I was just shuffling, just kept shuffling, trying to find songs that reminded me of my husband, just some of the lyrics. So after I left my mother's, I went to I went to my I went to I drove everywhere that had a different places in the small towns that had a connection, some type of a connection to my husband. I drove to I went to Franklin, and in Franklin, the first place I went to is his where his grandmother lived. His late grandmother lived on 9th Street. My husband used to stay there with his mom sometimes. After going there, I passed by on 6th Street where his dad used to live a while ago. And all of these places are where my husband was younger, whenever we were dating. And so I went there, and then I passed by his uncle's house, which is off of 4th Street in Franklin. After leaving there, I went to a small town called Bakertown. And I visited where his grandmother and his aunt lived before they transitioned. And his grandmother, my husband was close with his mother, but he was also very close with his grandmother. Between his mother and his grandmother, he spent a lot of time with his grandmother. Um, so I went there, and then I drove a little further out to an even smaller town. It only consists of 2 streets. It's called Garden City. That's where my husband lived when I first met him. And it just brought back so many good memories. It made me think about so much. It's a small town with 2 streets. And back then, it was mostly all Black people living there. Now, they've they took the land and they sold it, and they changed it. I don't think anybody Black live on those 2 streets. Not that it matters. But so I passed up the 1st street and I drove down the 2nd street. And the 2nd street, you go all the way down. It's probably about a half a mile. And that, you're all the way down to the end of the street. And on the left hand side, at the very end, the 3 homes. It was his grandmother's house. And then one of his cousins, her name was Cookie, her house, and then his aunt's trailer. When I met my husband, his grandmother still had her house, but she was living with my husband's aunt. And that's where my husband was also living. And so I drove out there and I sat out there for about 20 minutes. There were so many memories there. I could remember going there, catching a ride there, and I can remember pretending like I was going home, and I would leave and tell everyone good night. I'm going, and my husband walked me outside to the car, and there was never a car. We would go and stay at his grandmother's house. I was in high school. My mother was kind of strict. She didn't know. She would only let me stay at the school teacher's house. And the whole time, the school teacher was dropping me off to see my husband. Excuse me, I had to take some medicine. But I went there and I just sat. I remember the young Line D and the young Back then, we called my husband Troy. His name is Anthony Troy Dennis Sr. because we had a junior, but he went by Troy. And all right, so many memories. It's just like everything was flashing through my head. I remembered just so much. He one year, I remember back then we had where everyone in the surrounding towns, Franklin, Baldwin, Garden City, Bakertown, Four Corners, Glencoe, all the little surrounding areas, maybe even Jeanerette too. Um, we would all go to a skating ring, and the skating ring was in Patterson, and the bus driver, that was extra money for him because he would pick us up and charge us about $3 to ride the bus to the skating ring in Patterson. And I remember one time, I was on the bus and I talked to my husband before the plane was that he was going to go to. And I can remember being on that bus at the end of the road and my husband, this is in Garden City, my husband running down the road to get on the bus to make sure he didn't miss the bus so he can go to the skating ring with me. I remember that. I remember after having our oldest son, my son had a little Jeep and it was so hot. We had a little pool in the backyard. Everything extremely, extremely modest. Extremely modest. I remember my husband, it's a little bitty round pool. We were young. And I can remember my husband sitting in that pool in the backyard with my son. It was a tiny, tiny pool. There are so many memories. I spent so much of time in Garden City to be with my husband. So much time. Spent a lot of time. So I sat out there for a little bit, and then I the second street, it goes into a U-turn where you can come up to the second street from the first street. You go all the way around, and then you come up to the other to the. I was on the second street, so I went all the way down where his aunt lived in the trailer. He had a cousin that lived in between his aunt and his grandmother. So I sat in front of his grandmother's house for a little bit, and I sat in where his grandmother's house once was. I sat in front of there, and I sat in front of where his aunt's trailer once was. And after that, I made the U turn. And later in life, his grandmother had moved to the next street. She had purchased a trailer. She had some property on the next street. So I sat in front of there as well. Had a lot of memories there. But that wasn't the end of my journey. I drove to the high school where we met. And I sat there for a little bit. I could remember my husband in ag class. And I think at the time I was in drama. It was an elective class. But I could remember him coming with a hall pass. If you had a hall pass, and a hall pass meant that you can use that pass to get someone out of class. Don't ask me how it worked. I don't remember. But I can remember him come and get me out of my class all the time just for us to talk and spend time together. I remember one time when I went to school, and if you're from the South, you understand that it's extremely humid here. And when I went to school, my hair was so pretty. And I had PE was my first class. And we had to go outside for PE. My husband was there at school with me. And went to PE, came back in. I refused to go to any classes because by then my hair was straight and it was really nice. But after PE, we was outside the do. It was like, it was, it looked a mess. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want him to see me. And I'll never forget my first ring from him. It was a promise ring. And I was in PE, I lost it. And I remember Miss Brent, that was her name. She was a security guard at my high school, and she was out there helping me look for that ring. I did not want my husband to know I lost that ring. It was a promise ring, and I was just looking and looking and looking for the ring. I never found it, but he ended up getting me another one. I did not lose the second one. And just so many memories. He would come in, he would walk me to my classes. I remember, I think his class was close to my class, his English class. His class was close to my English class because by the time I got out of class, he was there waiting for me. And I'm not sure how we got into one of our classes. This is when we first started dating. I remember he sat behind me and he used to act like he needed me to help him. My husband was very, very smart, and it was a math class. I think it was business math. We was freshmen when I just started going there, and he was in the desk behind me. And our teacher, she was very nice, very relaxed. Her name was Miss Rack. And my husband, he kept hitting me. Hey, can you help me with this? He was behind me. And he kept asking me to help him over and over and over and over. I'm like, no, leave me alone. Leave me. I loved Miss Wright's class. I didn't like school. I'm being completely honest with you. I was not the person that liked school, and I was very good in all of my math classes. And he kept tapping me to help him. And every time I was like, leave me alone, leave me alone. And I told my teacher, I said, Miss Wright, he's bothering me. And she set him in the desk in front of me. She moved me behind him. Said that way he won't be tapping on you the whole time. So she moved him in front of me. So the whole time he would turn around and he'll look at me and he'll smile. We eventually started dating, and we went from him behind me to moving in front of me to sitting right on side of me. And we did the exact same work. The exact same work. And he was smart. He was always have been very, very smart. But I think we was more about then, we was into each other more than school. Just being honest with you. We was more into each other than anything. And we sat on side of each other. We did the same work. We helped each other. And we turned in the exact same paperwork. And Miss Rack, she was a very cool teacher. But anyway, I was kind of like the teacher's pet, and I had an A, and he would always end up with a B or a B plus, and he didn't understand why are you keep getting these A's? We're turning the exact same work. So, and we laughed about that as adults, about how that happened. So, a lot of good memories. That's what I tried to do. I tried to focus on a lot of positive memories about my husband. And I did post a Facebook post honoring him. And my youngest son is here. And I appreciate him being here. I appreciate all of my children. I know that it's hard for all of them. I know it's hard for him. It's hard for all of them. They don't show their emotions. They don't, I think that they're more worried about not wanting for me to be so sad. And I try to hold it together around them because I don't want for them to worry about me. But this is tough. I think on New Year's. New Year's was always one of his New Year's Eve was one of his favorite holidays. And we did some he would put on a huge fireworks show. We've always we've always agreed that we would always spend New Year's together. We like our children growing up, their friends would come over to our house for New Year's Eve because we didn't allow them to go anywhere because we wanted to make sure that they were safe. There was more people out on the road during New Year's Eve, so it was a tradition that we had where they would always be with us. And then we would tell them that as they got older, we understand that they're going to want to be with their spouses and their children for the other holidays, but just spend New Year's Eve with us. And they don't always get to do that. They didn't always get to do that, but they made sure that they still have a similar tradition where their children are staying home with them. They're home with their husbands and their children for New Year's Eve. So I'm glad that even though they didn't get to always come with us, they still carrying on the tradition in their own way. But yeah, so anyway, my husband, he would put on the huge fireworks show, just spend thousands of dollars on fireworks in the backyard. And my our youngest son, he put on a fireworks show. He couldn't get the biggest ones like my husband was able to get because my husband would travel to go and get him out of town somewhere. But he did almost as good. He did a really really good job. He put on a fireworks show for New Year's Eve, and we had my two nephews that my son was very close with, and their baby, and one of my nephew's girlfriend was here. But I think that New Year's Eve, it hit me. It hit me. Because I said, I can't say last year me and my husband did this anymore. Oh, last year my husband, I can't say last year anymore. Because now it's been a year. So I can't say last year anymore. And I know that seems so silly. Something as simple as that, it triggers me. Yesterday, January 2nd, was the last day that I saw my husband, that he saw him in person where he talked to me of 2024. I know people say with time it gets easier. Mm. I feel like we have to give ourselves grace. We have to do what's best for us. We have to take our time with healing. You know, some days are harder than others. And I tell you, yesterday and today was hard. The, the even the first was hard. I just miss him so much. I miss him. I miss being silly and just saying something that just didn't make sense. And he would correct me and say, "You don't know nothing." And the whole time I'm laughing because I purposely did it. I would have these funny blonde moments where I knew what I was doing. And he was like, "What's wrong with you? You don't know nothing." And I would just laugh. I know I'm going to get through this because I know my husband, he never ever wanted me to be sad. He never wanted me to be sad. He doesn't want me to worry. He doesn't want me to be like that. He want me to be happy. So I know that I have to make sure, I mostly do it for him. I know what he would want. So I try to honor him with trying to do what I think that he would want from me. It's I wish I could say something different right now, but I can't. So what I'm gonna do for the rest of the night, probably my son bought food for us to eat. He bought Chick-fil-A. So for the rest of the night, I'm gonna probably go upstairs in my room. I feel very close to him in my room. I don't sleep. Even if I'm very tired, I'm laying on the sofa downstairs. I always end up sleeping in my room. I feel very close to him and on my bed. So that's it. Just wanted to give a quick update. And thank y'all for listening. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Cherish your loved ones. And if you have any questions, please comment and like my video. I think that this is a community that a lot of people like us are hurting. And for the most part, it's hard for us to share it with our family. It's hard for us to, I think that a lot of us feel like that we're alone, that people don't understand. And I just want to share my journey and hear what others are going through. I still plan on doing the panel that I talked about. I will continue to post at minimum weekly and give you some more updates. So thank you for listening. Please comment, and if you have any questions, let me know. Okay, until we talk again, thank you. My husband's ring. I don't take it off. I wear it every day. Thank you.